Namaste, Suswagatam, and welcome to our Sunday edition of Gyan Ganga Words of Wisdom on our Virat Hindustan Sangam social media channels. We welcome you to our show, and today is a very important discussion we will be having with Dr. Subramanian Swamy, the consequences of the Manipur Uprising. And Dr. Swamy will tell us many things which perhaps because Manipur is part of our northeastern state, many don't know the background. They only know that it's burning, but what is the background, what is the issues involved, what is the uh, last few say 1 century, what is happening with the population, and all those factors we will be discussing. So without much wastage of time, it is over to Dr. Subramanian Swamy to initiate the discussion on consequences of Manipur uprising. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Jagdish. I have been to Manipur in as far back as 1980, and I was amazed at the culture of the place, and it's actually a Vaishnavite culture. It's the majority, of course, is declining, but even today, 53% of the population of Manipur are Hindus. They are Vaishnavites, and they celebrate all our festivals, and they are as good a Vaishnavite as anybody else in the rest of India. So therefore, I was that time. It was one of the peaceful areas. Nagaland was on fire. Mizoram was on fire. So in that context, the Manipur it was a it's a kind of a island, so to speak, in that situation. But over the years, there has been a growth of Christian missionaries who have been working actively, who have converted many of the other tribal groups, particularly the Kukis, who and made them Christians, and then the clash began. The Métis are people who are in the urban areas, and these others, there are only two others, Kuki and Naga, and they are in the hills. And the urban flatland is only 10% of the area, and so the bulk of it is the remaining 90% is hilly, and there's not much infrastructure that has been built and put in. So on the 3rd of May 2023, a fresh, after a long period of silence or brewing situation, an uprising has taken place, and mostly uprising by the Kukis and the Nagas against the Métis. So that has led to a lot of people getting killed, and as late as June 24th, the number of people killed was about 131, and 40,000 have been displaced, mostly Métis people, the Hindus. They've been dislocated, and they are here and there and living in miserable conditions. And there's a lot of which the central government ought to do, and surprisingly, and I'll come back to this point again, the central government doesn't seem to bother at all. And there was a visit after much publicity and criticism. There was a visit by the Union Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, but it was just flying in there by a special plane, and then making a short meeting and then buzzing off. Nothing has followed it. But the Prime Minister, who normally goes there everywhere and puts on the local dress and so on, he has not gone. And in my opinion, considering that such a large number of people have been killed in such a short time, and in rioting, and mostly the targets have been the Hindus there, the Métis. The Prime Minister ought to have preferred going there than even going to the United States. And the United States, now we know, except atmospherics of meeting and this fellow Modi giving the diamond ring or something, nothing really concrete has come which could not have been achieved by, say, a joint secretary in the PMO, or a secretary in the PMO, or the national security advisor, or even the foreign secretary. So all these questions, raise that why did Modi prefer to go to America and not to Manipur, and which he could have done even now, but he hasn't done it. And so I think this is now accumulative. And there is a unspoken thing. We are very careful on mentioning the name of China. China has occupied 4,024 square kilometers of Indian territory in Ladakh, and we just say "Koi aaya hi nahi." We don't even mention the name. The Chinese name has not been mentioned anywhere, as having occupied Indian territory. So they're also on the border, because Burma, of which what we now call as Myanmar, has gone to military rule, and that military was essentially very pro-China, and so Myanmar has now become a pro-Chinese place, and that has direct connections to Manipur. So most people think that the weapons, etc., that are being used by Kuki and Nagas are against the Métis, is of Chinese origin, and the government of India is neither denying it nor acknowledging it. So I would say, therefore, this particular people, and it's going on. It's a continuing process, and there are some jokes that are taking place, or what people consider jokes, like the chief minister resigning. The chief minister is a BJP man, and he resigns, and then he takes back his resignation. That kind of drama is going on. But really speaking, the country, what that area needs essentially is an NRC. That, because there has been a lot of infiltration, and I don't even know whether the Hindus are anymore a majority in that area. Now, a little history that the Métis, you see, were made Vaishnavas by Vaishnav Hindus who came from Bengal. They were escaping Islamic attacks on them. So they left that place and they came to Manipur. And then they were the ones who taught the Métis, who were in the urban areas and easily available, taught them Hinduism, and they became Vaishnavite Hinduism. So this is essentially due to that. And as of the census of 2011, the Métis were 53% of the population. Whether they're still 53 or less, we at the moment we don't know, because the census carried out for 2021, 10 years after the 2011, we don't know what the results are, because they have not yet been published for some reasons, which we wonder what it is due to, whether the rise in the Muslim population has been a factor for all India and so on, and they don't want to put in, and the Hindu share which was 82%, has come down to some lower number like 77%. So these are things that could have withheld coming out with it, so that there isn't an uprising or a feeling amongst the Hindus that we are being slowly reduced to minority in our own country. So anyway, those are things are out of the here. But as far as Manipur is concerned, there's still a very strong, solid bloc, and the present agitation has begun because the Métis are the only. There are those are three communities I mentioned: Métis, and Kuki, and Nagas. So the other two outside Métis, the that is Naga and the Kukis, they have got reservations in their for jobs and things like that. And but the Métis haven't got. So they had gone to court, and the High Court ruled that yes, under the circumstances and the situation, they should also get reservation, and that is what really triggered the whole thing, and it has become very violent. So I think the issue is really about settlement, because from across the border from Burma, that is Myanmar, you are having people who are coming illegally into this kind of state of Manipur, and therefore something great needs to be done. So I am. The issue is how do we proceed in this way? I would say that after the military coup in Myanmar and the pro-Chinese rule, and the democratically elected lady who was the prime minister, she's now in jail. She hasn't been allowed out. So therefore, we have to be very cautious. I don't know, Modi even for Ladakh doesn't mention the name of China. Here also nobody's mentioning the name of China. But the Nagas are being targeted by China, Cookies by the Christian Padres and so on, and their population is being sought to be made into Christian and become they're the American variety of Christians who do the conversion very fiercely, and therefore the conflict between the Hindus and the Christians, and of course the Chinese influenced people, is very severe, and it needs central government's full commitment. Not to just send the army and say look after them, and then the army becomes rogue also. There are lots of complaints, whether true or false, a lot of complaints about the army and their misbehavior of women and so on. So all these need to be rectified and looked after. Why I'm saying this is important, this is it's a part of the Northeast, as they say. I don't like the word Northeast. I mean, I don't want to club everybody. Everybody, all the 7 states there, they have individual, their own individual culture, their own position and history and so on. So we must deal with them separately. Nagaland should be led separately. Mizoram, by the way, now is totally in peace and is functioning like a normal state. But all these should be known by their own names instead of saying Northeast, and that only annoys everybody there. So the issue is whether, first of all, the Métis majority should be retained, and for that we have to see that the Christian conversion is not allowed. As long as anybody wants individually to be a Christian, nobody can stop it under the Constitution. But if you campaign and you say, I will offer you this, I'll give you a scholarship to America, all that, but you have to become Christian, that kind of thing is illegal according to the Supreme Court judgments right from 1967. The Supreme Court in a number of things has been said. Now this chart that we have put up here shows how fast things have gone. There were only 45 people were Christians in 1901, and now it's reached 42 or 41.29% of the Christians in 2011 census. We don't know now 2021 what's going to come out. I'm sure it could be as high as 49%, but that really would be a very alarmed situation now. There's also the earlier Assam agitation, where you had the Ulfa, and the Ulfa has the chief is of that Ulfa is some guy called Paresh Barua, and he is presently living for a long time now. In the last maybe 20 years, he's been living in China, and consequently, that connection is also coming very strongly. So we have to therefore make sure not only the Hindu religion is not targeted, and the Christian by money, the Christian population doesn't rise because there's inducement, there's money, there's scholarships to go to America and all that. All these things we have to take extra care. And we have to also understand that the Chinese, through Burma, have an easy access to these, to Manipur and other places in the area. And we have a national security problem. I mean, you can't go on sending troops and telling them to do, put down their use of brutal methods, and so that leads to further reaction. But most of all, there is unemployment, severe unemployment. And when people come illegally into Manipur, then they are ready to accept lower salaries and so on. So their need for an NRC, National Register of Citizens, which you have in Assam, we need it we need this in Manipur also. So there are two demands essentially. One is this: the High Court has given, and which is that they should get reservations. The Métis should get reservations, and on the same principle the Nagas and the Kukis have got. And the other one is have a register of citizens. And if we do that, then I think it will be a big thing. But I certainly think that if the Prime Minister doesn't go in the next 4 or 5 days, it will be taken very badly by the people there, and it may lead to a great deal of anger in the people. Maybe the Prime Minister is not going because he doesn't want to annoy the Chinese, and we have seen that in Ladakh matter, China's sensitivity has been giving great deal of importance, and so that even their name is not mentioned. China has occupied 4,024 square kilometers as of the last month. I mean, it must be more now, and we haven't said a word. And it's a huge amount that has been. Even during the 1962 war, Chinese didn't have more than 1,200 square kilometers. Now they've got from Ladakh 4,000. So Mr. Modi seems to be far more concerned with toppling governments in India than looking for seeing that the country doesn't get toppled by foreign elements. And therefore, he has to go very soon to Imphal, which is the capital of Manipur, and address a meeting and meet people, and tell them that we will all stand by for those who are peaceful. And yes, there are in self-defense, the Métis are also using violence, but we must now see that it's the police and the army which maintains a peace, not vigilantes of the individuals. So this is the broad picture, and I think we need greater awareness. There should be much greater awareness. The Métis who became Hindus in in the 15th century, that is 1480 or something like that, AD, 1480 AD, they became, because of those sadhus and sannyasis who came from Bengal, having been driven out by the Muslim sultanates there, and they're the ones who brought them around and made them. And I remember very clearly in 1980 when I was made to witness a celebration of a particular holy period, and how beautifully they did, how committed they are, and how proud they are to be Hindus. And therefore, they should not feel that now, if you are an Hindu, neither the Christian missionaries will support you, nor the Chinese will support you, and they'll both all be done for. So India has to put in extra effort to make them feel that you are also part of us, and we are an ancient country of Hindus, and therefore they will also be regarded as people who have every right to be here in their full glory and cultural abilities. So that's the position. And over to Jagdish. Let us have a discussion and see how much each of us is aware of the situation, and what is the suggestions how we should go forward.
Arvind, your mic is muted. माइक
पूरे देश के लिए डॉक्टर स्वामी ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण मामला है, क्योंकि पिछले लगभग 60 दिनों से मणिपुर आग में जल रहा है और लोगों को पता नहीं कि असल स्थिति क्या है। भारत सरकार, जो केंद्र में भाजपा की सरकार है, मणिपुर में भी भाजपा की सरकार है, रोज खबरें आती हैं कि मणिपुर के मुख्यमंत्री आज इस्तीफा देने वाले हैं, कल इस्तीफा देने वाले हैं। लोग कहते हैं कि मणिपुर में सरकार नाम की कोई चीज नहीं है। यदि ये वस्तुस्थिति है तो इसमें केंद्र शासन क्यों नहीं लगाया जा सकता? किसी भी राज्य में जब स्थिति नियंत्रण के बाहर हो जाए तो राष्ट्रपति शासन लगाकर उस पर कंट्रोल केंद्र कर सकता है, लेकिन चूंकि यहाँ भाजपा की सरकार है इसलिए ये नहीं करते। पहली बात। दूसरी बात, हमारे दर्शक ये जानना चाहेंगे कि जो आपने मैती और कुकीज और नागाज का जो संघर्ष बताया, इस संघर्ष में भाजपा की क्या भूमिका रही है? भाजपा किस पक्ष के पास में रही है? क्योंकि आज से 10 वर्ष पहले भाजपा का वहां नामो निशान नहीं था। भाजपा का कोई नाम लेने वाला मणिपुर या पूर्वी राज्यों में नहीं था, पूर्वोत्तर के राज्यों में। लेकिन सडनली जैसे ही केंद्र में नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार आई, भाजपा ने अपने पंजे सब जगह गड़ाने शुरू कर दिए, और यही कारण है कि वहां पर यह संघर्ष पनप रहा है। तो इस संघर्ष में भाजपा की क्या भूमिका है, और केंद्र सरकार इस पर राष्ट्रपति शासन लगाने में क्यों संकोच कर रही है?
ठीक बात है। मैंने कहा ना, मुझे संदेह है, मुझे पता नहीं है, परंतु मुझे संदेह है कि जैसे लद्दाख में हमारी 4024 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर्स हड़प कर ली है चाइना ने, और हम आज तक उसके नाम लेने के लिए तैयार नहीं है। उनका स्वागत करने में लगे हुए हैं। प्रधानमंत्री कहता है कि उनको मैं बुलाने वाला हूँ G20 मीटिंग में। ये इस प्रकार से जो चल रही है, और रशिया जो पिट्ठू है चाइना का, उसका मस्कर करना, यानी उसके लिए उससे बातचीत की, उसके लिए इतना बड़ा देना, जहाँ रशिया ने जो कुकर्म किया है यूक्रेन में, उसको कौन भूल सकता है। तो इस परिस्थिति में प्रधानमंत्री की विवशता मुझे लगता है चाइना के डर से है। और जैसे लद्दाख में उन्होंने अपनी जो भय है उसको प्रकट किया है कि ये कहकर कि कोई आया नहीं, कोई गया नहीं। तो इसी प्रकार से यहाँ भी वो पाँव नहीं रखने चाहते हैं कहीं चाइना उसको बिगड़ जाए उस पर, और उसके लिए उससे वो डरते हैं, और इसीलिए होगा, मैं सोचता हूँ।
डॉक्टर साहब एक सवाल और मैं पूछना चाहता हूं कि जैसे जम्मू कश्मीर में धारा 370 थी, बहुत दिनों तक रही, अभी 2 साल पहले हट गई, उसी तरह नॉर्थ ईस्ट के जिलों प्रदेशों में 371 371, मणिपुर में खासतौर से 371 सी लागू है, जो राष्ट्रपति को विशेष अधिकार देता है कि जो जो हिल स्टेट्स हैं, जो हिल एरियाज हैं मणिपुर के, उनकी अलग कमेटी बना दी जाए। तो क्या कहीं 371 सी तो इसका कारण नहीं है जो आपस में संघर्ष हो रहा है?
नहीं, 371 के कारण तो अभी कभी किसी ने उठाया भी नहीं। वो इतना ही है कि धीरे धीरे हिंदुओं की जो संख्या है अनुपात में वो कम होती गई है। अब 53% थी जब यानी 14 साल पहले जो सेंसस हुई थी उसमें। अब लेटेस्ट सेंसस में 2021 में जो सेंसस हुई है उसके अभी तक परिणाम आए नहीं है। तो धीरे धीरे हम माइनॉरिटीज में हो रहे हैं, वो है असली। और अपने बचाव के लिए इन्होंने कोर्ट में जाकर समझाया कि जो यदि कुकी को रिजर्वेशन होगी तो और नागा को होगी तो हमें भी होना चाहिए, हमें तो और भी होना चाहिए। तो हाई कोर्ट ने मान लिया बात, तो उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने में हमारे लोग हमें केंद्र सरकार रोक लगा के रखी है। वहाँ की जो चीफ मिनिस्टर हैं बीजेपी के, वो आए यहाँ बड़ी अर्जी वर्जी लेकर के, बट यहाँ उनको कुछ मिला नहीं है। एक समय वो तो रिजाइन करने के लिए तैयार हो गए, अब थोड़ा अब उन्होंने रेजिग्नेशन वापस ले ली। तो मैं ये कहता हूँ कि समस्या यही है कि जो एक अपना दायित्व को पूरा करनी चाहिए, अपनी जो कमिटमेंट है इसको माननी चाहिए। हमारी सरकार को पार्लियामेंट में इस पर डिस्कस होकर हमारी सरकार को विवश करनी चाहिए कि भाई आप क्या करने वाले हैं और कब प्रधानमंत्री वहां जाने वाले हैं। ये पार्लियामेंट में होना चाहिए। अभी पार्लियामेंट खुल रहा है एक हफ्ते के बाद या 10 दिन के बाद, उसके बाद पार्लियामेंट में इसको उठाने की आवश्यकता है।
Dr. Swamy, if I recall correctly, this community or this tribes, Métis we are talking about, have been traditionally the Jansangh and the BJP had a soft corner for them. So why is that in the present, when BJP is in power at the center, BJP is in power in the state, our main strength or main supporters, we are leaving them in such a sorry state where we are not even going to their rescue, and there is no law and order in the state? What do you think? So firstly, whether my impression is correct that these people were always a backbone of Jansangh and BJP? You know better, so if you can just share some light, because many of our viewers are really shocked that these Hindu tribe is being neglected, especially in this time of crisis.
See, I went in 1980. I took a Janata Party delegation and went there. I was at that time president of Janata Party, and so this welcome they gave, the cultural programs they arranged for us to see, and so on. It was amazing. I mean, I couldn't even believe it. And then they told me their history, that the sadhus from Calcutta, Bengal had come, and about 450 years earlier, and they converted us, and they showed me temples, they showed me everything. So they were living like any other Hindu in any other part of India. And we should have had an interaction with them. I found that although there was support for them amongst Jansangh and the Vishwa and the Parishad and so on, but without the support of the central government for Swayamsevaks to go and live there and then become target of the Chinese or target of the Christians, And the Christians, are very well financed, and they are determined. From what there was hardly any Christian in 1901 when the first census was taken, and now it's grown to 43% or something like that. It's all by Christian missionaries and using monetary means and other such means to convert them. So we have even today. I mean, you're asking me about what happened in history. I'm saying the history is still being carried on in the same way. The Home Minister goes there for one day, flies in there, makes some remarks, and comes back. Why hasn't he? There was a demand for NRC. That we want to know who are the legally people who are getting employment from the government. No. Why are they not implementing the High Court judgment on giving the Métis their position and give them reservations and so on? What is stopping all of that? And I think it's basically the lack of interest in the things that we call as Hindutva. And it's there in other things also in Uttarakhand. You remember all the temples were nationalized by the government. It's totally against even nationalizing one temple was against our manifesto. But still it has happened. It's happened in Maharashtra also in Vittal Rukmani temple. So I think there is a lack of commitment to Hindutva, and it was just a lip service for many. That is what is the reason for such a situation.
Dr. Swamy, what about you said about the Christian missionaries converting Hindus into Christians? Of course, there is also influx from Myanmar. And of course, this has created an uneven situation in the society. The Hindus have traditionally been going down in terms of percentage, and Christians have been increasing. Moreover, the Christians also get recognition as scheduled tribes, and they
Yes.
get all the advantages, reservation and other things. And the Meiteis, Hindus, they don't even have rights to buy the land at many places, in hill areas especially. So this is the economic problem.
No, you are absolutely right. In fact, when the High Court gave this decision that Métis will be scheduled tribes, didn't say that they will get reservations as scheduled caste or anything like that. They said they are scheduled tribes, and that there are more scheduled tribes than these Nagas and Kukis who appear to come from neighboring northeast states. So, and they're mostly in the hills. You see, these people, having been in the suburban areas and given the civilization to the urban areas, they are now being targeted. I think the government of India should be much more vigilant about this. And immediately the NRC, which is the one way of preventing people from outside coming illegally and getting jobs. And they're coming from Myanmar, and they're doing dual work. They're doing work for the Chinese. They're doing work for themselves, and denying thereby employment possibilities for the native Indians. So yes, all these. The real problem is the country. In our country, the northeastern states, and in this particular place, Manipur, they say it doesn't figure in our consciousness at all. You see, I would say there's such a beautiful place. The government should subsidize, tourists going to Manipur, and see what it is like. What a beautiful place it is, and that is the way to do it. And but there's just lack of investment. I think in the case, as I told you, I'll repeat again. In the case of Modi, he's scared of the Chinese, and he doesn't want to disturb them by turning up there and promising to consolidate. It's a very bad situation. I think there's no party, because all the all the party bodies, like national executive, everything has become ad hoc, which means only chamchas, as film actresses. These are the people who are today members, who have no roots, and some of us who have been, having been several times members of parliament, ministers, known all look and corner, they have all been dropped, or they've been sent to what is it called, Margadarshak Mandal or something like that. So this is the problem. And one man having all the power cannot run India. He has to decentralize. He has to delegate. Otherwise, it can't be done. And this is the weakness of Mr. Modi's leadership. Yes.
Arvind,
Yeah,
you can wind up.
Dr. Swamy, I think everybody is concerned about this issue because this violence is in a state which is a border state, especially in Northeast. It affects the peace in entire Northeast also to a certain extent. And this civil war kind of situation must be brought to control. The kind of news that we are getting from the different channels, especially the electronic channels, and the violence and the arson and the loot that is being shown on the television worries everybody. And I'm surprised the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, they are in the election mode, and they are more concerned about the current politics, whether it is Maharashtra or whether it is Rajasthan or whether other election states. They're not paying much attention. So it is good that Dr. Swamy, thank you very much for raising this issue very timely and trying to provoke the government to take certain action. Peace must be brought at any cost, and whatever the issues are there, whether it is for one community or the other community, those issues can be solved later, but peace must be restored. That is the first issue, first task before the government. Thank you very much for bringing this issue. You've also put things in perspective so that people who are not aware of the problem in the northeastern states, especially the Manipur, now people also know what is the origin of the problem. Thank you. Thank you, Jagdish, for initiating this program. Thanks the technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Ishwar Iyer, Gadgi Raskesh, Swaminathan, Tejas Navalgul, Vishal Mehta, Ajesh Nair. VHS has been bringing this timely the timely topics to the people, and Dr. Swamy, as a specialist on these subjects, have been discussing these issues. Next Sunday again we will be coming to you with a new topic with Dr. Subramanian Swamy. Till then, namaskar, Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. धन्यवाद.